What's up, gamers? This is Proto, and welcome to another episode of Like or Dislike, where we look at some of the latest games that come out. I give you a little bit about the story, tell you about some of the mechanics of the games, my overall thoughts after putting some time into it, and do a pros and cons at the end, so if you're thinking about getting the game. So today we are looking at Werewolf, the Apocalypse Earthblood. Now this is a third-person action-adventure game where you play as a werewolf trying to save his clan and his daughter. Now you play as Kahal, a species of part wolf, man, and werewolf that helps protect the natural world from evil corruption called the worm, and the humans that are destroying the planet. So you're basically the Earth's natural defender. So you go into exile for 5 years after a bad mission where you lost control of your rage and killed some of your friends. You go into this exile to get better control of your rage, and that's a big part of this game, is controlling your rage, using it at the right moment, going into frenzy attacks. Now, while you're in exile, you find out that a human business called Endron is planning an attack on your tribe, so you rush back to save them and your daughter. Now, with you going back to help them, you help push them back out of the area and stopping their plans of destroying the area around where your tribe is. But in the process, Endron catches your daughter, and you start tracking her down, going to different areas around the US to get her back. Now, this game is a mix of a stealth and fighting game. You'll have parts where you can rotate between all three forms. You mainly be using the human and wolf forms to sneak around, access certain things. And when the fighting breaks out, that's when you use your werewolf abilities. Now, the werewolf abilities are pretty nice in my opinion. You have two modes of attacks in them. You have a agile mode that allows you to move fast and dodge bullets, and you can pounce on your enemies and run back and forth. And then you have a more bulkier one where you can absorb damage, but you land devastating hits on enemies. And you can switch between them both, and they each have like their own unique moves for each one that you can unlock using skill points that you can acquire in the game. So depending on your playstyle when using the werewolf, it may depend. You might want to use a more bulkier to cause devastating moves, or you might want to move fast when you attack your enemies. Now, you're going to have a variety of enemies that you're going to have to deal with, and they're going to feel a little stagnant at first, and then they kind of change it up some. And I like when they change it up because they become more random, so you don't know which mode you need to use. But you're also going to have some boss battles throughout the game too. The boss battles are really enjoyable because you got to learn the opponents, you got to learn their cues, their attacks. Sometimes they try changing up their attack mode, so you've got to learn what's best. For some, you find out that the agile mode is best. Even though you don't land a lot of devastating hits, you can avoid a lot of damage and just take them down bit by bit. Where some is just easier if you just use your heavier mode and absorb the damage. But if you don't have the right skills to absorb the damage, you can get taken out very fast. So you have to keep that in mind. You also have a mode called Frenzy Mode, and that's when you've caused so much damage and your rage is so much, you become like this invincible foe, and you can just land devastating moves. And you can rotate between both your agile and your fighting modes. But it has this costs with it. Because with the Frenzy Mode, unless you don't have the skill right, you can't heal yourself. So if they're just laying down fire on you, you can die in a Frenzy Mode. So it's kind of one of those things like you need to decide when it's best to use it. Now, it took me roughly about 12 hours to complete the story, and that's not too bad for a single player story. Like I said, as I was playing through it, it kind of felt kind of easy going through, but as I got like towards the halfway point of it, it definitely amped up the difficulty, and I really had to start learning like which moves to use, when it's best to do stealth, because sometimes you don't always have to fight. Sometimes it's just easier and smarter just to stealthily go in, get what you need, and stealthily go out. And sometimes it's just better just to fight and wipe everybody out. So keep that in mind. Now, the animation and graphics are not up to par with me. They kind of remind me of the 360 era graphics. Like, the facial animations are not good. The voicing is good, but the lip sync is horrible. So I wish they would have worked more on that. You can tell that they put more effort into the cutscenes more than the actual gameplay and just the talking back and forth. If they would tweak that and work on that, I think the game would be overall so much better for that. Because like I said, the story itself is pretty good. You know, it's not an amazing story. It's a little lackluster here. It has its moments where it gets kind of dry when you get to certain areas, but it does amp up when you start like getting into it and things start unfolding and you start finding out what's really going on. So you have to keep that in mind with this game. And as you guys can see, all this gameplay was captured off of Xbox One X. And that's pretty much the game itself there. So that being said, let's jump into the pros versus the cons. And starting off with the pros, the first one we're going to look at is the combat. I thought the combat was pretty good. Like I said, when you use your werewolf abilities, you got those 2 modes that you can jump back and forth. And once you unlock different abilities, they come in handy. As you upgrade them, they land more devastating attacks. They can heal you. So I thought that was very good. Now the next pro we're going to look at is the stealth ability. I'm not big on stealth games, but I actually like the stealth mechanics of this. I like using the wolf ability to sneak around and access things. It really made it feel worthwhile when you actually complete a certain area being stealthy and you didn't alert anybody. It actually felt very rewarding. So I thought the stealth mechanic was done very well. And the last pro we're going to look at is the abilities. Like I said, these skill abilities that you can unlock, I really like them because they're kind of on a skill tree, but they're kind of not. You can decide which skill points you want to use. And then if you want, you can go back and reset them and reset it up how you want to. Because you know, usually in some games like this, once you use your skill points, that's it. But they allow you to reset them. So I thought that was real nice. You find out that's a skill you don't like, you can reset them and then apply it to like your play style. So the pros done, let's take a look at the cons. Starting off with the cons, the first one is going to be the graphics and animation. Like I said, these graphics and the gameplay look like it's from a 360 era. If they tweak the graphics, make it look a little bit better, polish it off, especially with the voicing and lip syncing matching, I think the game would dramatically look so much better if they did that. The next one we're going to look at is the story. Like I said, this isn't a captivating story. It's not an enriched story where you're really worried about the characters. It's kind of like it just gets you by. I feel like if they did some more character development, you know, makes you feel more concerned about these characters going on, more concerned about what's going on, you'll really get into the story more. So I think they kind of dropped the ball on that. And the last con we're going to look at is the camera. The camera can get very annoying, especially in fighting, because you can either have it free roam, you can either have it free roaming, where you can turn it around you, or you can have it lock on an opponent. Now, the messed up part about locking on an opponent is if there's another opponent nearby, you can accidentally move over to the other opponent when you're not trying to. So it can get annoying, especially when you got a lot of enemies surrounding you and they're attacking you from different angles. But that's pretty much the pros and cons of the game. Overall, I'm gonna have to give the game a dislike to a certain sense because it's too many flaws to me for me to really enjoy the game. I really pushed through to finish the game because I just wanted to see how the story finish up, but I feel like if they would have fixed these things, the game could be a whole lot better. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know how you guys feel. If you got the game, let me know what you like and what you don't like about it. Let me know how you feel about it in the comments below. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I talk about stuff going on in the gaming and tech world. I do reviews on some of the latest games and tech that's out. I do top 10 new games coming out every month and so much more. Make sure to hit me up on Twitter if you want to reach out to me. You can follow us on our Facebook page or follow us on our Instagram. You can see what we're doing, what I'm up to. Don't be afraid to hit me up because I love talking about gaming. You can catch me streaming on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. I play a variety of different games from AAA games to indie games. So there might be a game you might be interested in. I might show you a game you've never seen before. Don't be afraid to chat over with me. I love talking to people while I'm playing games. But this is Proto, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.